Right, hello everybody, and welcome to what would appear to be a tutorial that's been done over and over again, which is just opening your PlayStation. Currently you can see I have the top part off, which is this part, and yeah, you just undo the screws, away it comes. Obviously you need to take the screw out of here to get the actual top plate off. Now, the reason I decided to do this is because it has come to my attention after opening quite a few PlayStations, probably hundreds by now, that the way you open it can actually determine how good your console runs. You can as well, which is shocking, just by opening your console, you can damage it, and you wouldn't know. You just put it back together, and you would think it's the work that you've done on the console maybe that's done it. So if you've done a D-lid, for example, you might think, oh, was it the D-lid? Was it the capacitor change? Why is it now showing a yellow light of death? Or why is it now showing a graphic anomaly? Or why is it running badly? And then you start to get errors and it starts to shut down. And it's all because of the way you open this. Basically, you've got thermal paste here, which has been here a long time. And yeah, if it's cold, if the system's cold and you open it, and that's how most people open up their systems, it's cold, they don't have it switched on, then basically what's going to happen is that thermal paste is going to act like glue. So you've got two plates here, heat spreaders, and then you've got the plates on top of the heat spreaders, which is your heat sink connected to the fan, and it's this that glues to it. So when you try to pull it away, it doesn't come away, so you end up pulling it away with more force, and then what happens is it pulls on the substrate and it causes a BGA issue, which is the classic green light or yellow light of death. And it won't happen straight away, by the way. It may not happen straight off. It might do. It might give it to you immediately. It might give it to you in a couple of hours. It might give it to you in a couple of days or a couple of weeks, but the damage would have been done. So what I'm doing today is a tutorial on how to open your console the safest possible way to avoid these issues. And I see so many people online when they've done D-lids, and there's nothing wrong with the D-lids, no scratches, no nothing, and it is literally, I can guarantee, the way they've opened the console. So the first thing you want to do is remove the screws, so have it completely switched off, and unplug from the mains and unplug the HDMI for now. What we're going to do is just remove all the screws. And also I find what a lot of people do on YouTube is do this for entertainment purposes, show you it all working afterwards, but they don't test it extensively. They don't see if there's anything actually wrong with it. So this is going to be completely different. What I do is I extensively test, and I'll come back to it. I'll do a part 2 of the video. You can see how long it's been switched on through the custom firmware, and yeah, you can see if it actually works. I'm just going to first take out all the visible screws so we can see without having to remove any components. There's even one here we can get to. Because once I do what I need to do, as you'll see in a minute. It's fairly straightforward. We want to be able to get to this board pretty quickly. It's not a race. It's not like you have to get there really quick, but we don't want the board to be hanging around, so to speak. So this is 78 days old, boxed. Just done a drive remarry. That was the issue. Sold as 40, so I bought it. Still sold it for a handsome price though, because it was boxed. But I thought, yeah, I've got a spare drive. I'm going to have it in a nice white case. Keep the serial number. Put it on there. And somebody's going to have a nice white, beautiful looking PS3 in a box. A little bit about myself. I do sell these on eBay and other marketplaces, and I don't just refurbish the inside of the console. I do the outside of customization. I make sure that this thing looks pristine because it deserves it. It's the best console ever made currently, in my opinion. The only one 3 ways that can do 3 generations of PlayStation game. So yeah, give it the respect it deserves. So many people want to buy these, but they don't want them scratched, and that's where I come in. So we can leave that like that. Now we just need to take these last remaining screws out. So all we're doing is taking all the screws out, except we're not touching these. Right. Then what we do, once we've got all the screws out, just want to plug it back in. We basically have it assembled without the screws. The only screws we haven't touched are on these plates here. We don't want to touch those yet. Now we just plug it back in. Get a game that's intensive on the CPU and GPU like The Last of Us, and go into webman and pop it on Syscon fan, or just leave it on Syscon fan if you haven't got it jailbroken. So I'm just going to stick it on Syscon. We'll hear it go down. It's probably advisable to be on custom firmware because you'll be able to see the CPU and RSX temps. Just come over so you can see that. Just there. Hopefully you can see that there. So what I will do is I'll let those temps go up to about 75 degrees, which is normal. Nothing wrong with that. That's how these PlayStations operate. I mean, I have full control of the fan. I could just put it on 20% and force it up there, but I don't need to. Syscon's so inefficient. Just leave it on Syscon and it'll get it hot for you. And this is a contributing factor as to why these did fail. Had Sony put a more efficient fans profile on here, then yeah, we would have systems lasting a lot longer, and boards not warping as much, and BGA issues less prominent. So yeah. Right, so I'm just going to pop in again, speed the process along a little bit. Fan's just gone from 20 to 25%. CPU, it waited for the CPU to hit 74 degrees. Now 28%, 75 degrees. God, I haven't even got into the game yet. I'm just loading it up. So the main issues you get on these are BGA issues, CPU, GPU, and there was a lot of talk about tokens. Now, in 10% of these consoles, it's tokens, but only 10%. So 98%, the other 90% are other issues and BGA, prominently BGA on CPU and GPU. Let's just get this into a game. So this does seem like a long-winded way to open up a console, I grant you, but take it from somebody that knows and has gone through the experience of having perfectly working consoles and then taking them apart and putting them back together and they're just not working as well, which you don't want that after a refurbishment, especially if you spent 2 or 3 hours doing it. I mean, I spend 5 hours on a lot of my refurbishments. That's how meticulous they are. And if after all that time the console doesn't seem right, and it was fine before, because I actually do pretty good extensive testings before and then I do them after, and it can only be if, say for example, all I've done is just change the thermal paste, then the only thing that could have done it was the way you open the console. That's it. And that's how I came to the conclusion. Now, since I've been doing this, I've had 0 issues with any of the consoles. And there's a lot of people out there doing delidding, and then they're getting issues and they can't work out why, and they just think it's the way they must have been the delid. But actually, there's a good chance it wasn't. It's a good chance that it was the way they opened the console. In other words, had they not done the delid and put just thermal paste on it, the problem would have started anyway. And I just don't think anybody's really addressed this. Maybe it's because I've opened so many now, it's pretty much all I do now. PlayStation 3s. But yeah, I've learnt a lot about them along the way. They are fickle little things, they really are. And yeah. Let's see if we can skip this straight into the game. Because that's where it's really going to resolve CPU and GPU. So it's already gone straight up to 30. So a lot of people say to me, why do you stick it on 33% fan speed? It's a bit noisy. Well, you can see we've been playing for 4 minutes on a console that's like 76 days old, I think this is.
Hello?
It's not even that old. And already our fan has gone right up to 35%. And I think if you're going to play a game like this, if you put it on 35% from the outset, the temperatures wouldn't go above 68 degrees. But as you can see now, they have. And it's at this point that I'm going to now basically just play the game a little bit.
Dad?
Yeah, RSX is still climbing even though we're on 35% fan speed.
Daddy?
Oh, it's now dropping. But the CPU is remaining the same. It's just keeping it there, and I can guarantee you, had we had it on 35% fan speed from the outset, that wouldn't be above 68 degrees. So you're saving 7 degrees right there. And they say just 1 degree off, you've just not 1 degree off can add months, if not years, to the life of your console. 7 degrees off just by starting the fan at 35, you know?
Here you are.
Sarah, are you okay?
Yeah?
Does anyone come in here?
No, we would come in here.
Don't go near the doors. Just stand back there.
Dad, you're kind of freaking me out.
Right, we're just now going to quit the game because we've got it warm enough. I've got the RSX in the 60s, 62 degrees. I've got the CPU at 76 degrees. That's enough. Let's take that out. Right. You should feel your power supply should be nice and warm, if not hot. So there were a few screws I should have done as well, so don't forget these, I have. So should have taken this out. You do have to sort of push the screwdriver in, it is tight. So I think that's because that's never been out of there before. But also these two screws here. So make sure those are out as well, because it just gives you more time. When you put your hands on these, they should be hot or warm, preferably hot. And now we're down to this part of it very quickly. Now remove this and this. Take off this back plate. try to take these off evenly. So I'll start off with 3 turns each, and go down to 2 turns. Okay. So now all we do is we flip it over like this, and what we want to do is just gently pull this away without any resistance. There it comes, no resistance other than this little thing here, and it's away. So there you go. It's come off with no force. There was no need to pull it. There was no need to get in and yank it. It just came off, no force at all. And since I've been doing that, I have had 0 issues with the console. Whether I do a D-lid, whether I don't do a D-lid, just do thermal paste, just 0 issues since I've been doing that. What I also recommend is you let it cool down, so you don't work on it, you just leave it to go cool, and then once it's completely cool, then we'll do the dust removal and everything else. So that's part 1. If you want to continue to watch me do the refurbishment on this, then you'll find the other video in part 2. This video is just to highlight that the way you dismantle this is just so important. So for example, here on the Xbox, you just have the die. So when you take this away, it's like the heatsink's going straight onto the die. There's no resistance at all because it's just a very small surface area. There's very little resistance. You can put it, just comes away. But because we've got these huge heat spreaders and they're completely covered with thermal paste, when it's cold, it acts and acts like glue. It sets. So now, as you can see, in fact, I think there, yeah, it's coming off just slightly. It's almost wet, just slightly wet. There you go, you can see. Slightly wet, and that's because we've heated it up. When it's cold, it then sticks to these, and you can see why. Look how much thermal paste is on there. It sticks to those. So I think anyone that's done a lot of refurbishment will tell you sometimes you have to sort of really pull at it, and that's dangerous because the surface area of this is exactly the surface area underneath of the BGA. So if you pull on this, yeah, you pull on the BGA, especially on these, because these chips here, these heat spreaders, are completely glued down. So this is glued down to the 4 RAM chips, and this is completely glued in with silicon. So you pull on that, you pull on the BGA. You pull on the BGA hard enough, you cause a BGA issue. So yeah, you don't get that problem with Xbox 360s, but you certainly get that problem here, and if you follow what I've just done, then that's basically going to be enough to eradicate it. Do leave it though for 15 minutes to cool down, then come back and work on the board. I can guarantee you that the extra time it takes to do these extra steps is going to be worth it, because, you know, I would say the amount I've done, you've probably got, it's not high, it's probably like a 5% chance of causing a BGA issue on one of these, which means only 5 out of 100, but that's enough for me. I work on tight margins. I don't want 5 consoles dying out of 100 because of a BGA issue, simply because of the way I opened it. So to be completely safe, this is the way to do it. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that. Take care, bye.